37 million ounces of silver vanished in 47 days. It did not just move from one vault to another. It left the system entirely. This is the largest physical drain on the COMEX vaults since 1980. But this time, there is a terrifying difference. On February 14, 2025, 4 of the largest banks in South Korea quietly updated their websites. They did not issue a press release. They did not warn their clients. They simply removed the buy button for physical silver bars, indefinitely, simultaneously. Across the border, China restricted its citizens from purchasing investment-grade precious metals and banned Russian silver from entering London trading floors. The supply chain is being severed from both ends. Right now, a phenomenon is occurring that economic textbooks say is impossible. It is called backwardation. The spot price of silver, the cost to get metal in your hand, today's trading higher than the futures price. In a healthy market, the future price is always higher because it includes the cost of storage and insurance. When the price today is higher than the price tomorrow, it means the market is screaming one thing: there is no silver left. This is not a normal market cycle. This is panic buying by the insiders. While the mainstream media talks about the stock market, the smart money is fleeing into physical assets. We are currently in stage 3 of a 4-stage pattern that has destroyed every fiat currency in human history. When stage 4 hits, the price of silver will not matter. It could be $100 or it could be $1,000. It will not matter because you will not be able to find any to buy. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly where we are in this timeline. I will show you the mathematical impossibility of the current silver deficit. We will analyze the $7 billion lesson from the Hunt brothers in 1980. And most importantly, I will show you exactly how to position yourself before the trading window slams shut forever. To understand why the banks are freezing sales, you must understand the pattern. It is brutally simple, and it has repeated for centuries. Stage 1 is establishment. A commodity becomes money. Governments back their paper currency with it. For 150 years, silver was money. Until 1964, every American dime, quarter, and half dollar was 90% silver. You could walk into a bank, hand them a paper certificate, and they were legally required to hand you physical metal. The system was trusted because the paper was just a receipt for the real thing. Stage 2 is manipulation. This occurs when bankers realize they can print more receipts than they have metal. They create paper silver. 1 ounce of physical silver in a vault becomes 10 paper contracts, then 50, then 500. 'Tis profitable for them because they sell you a promise and they keep your cash. They flood the market with these paper promises, which artificially suppresses the price. It makes it look like there is an infinite supply of silver, even though the physical vaults are slowly emptying. Stage 3 is the squeeze. This is where we are right now. Demand for the real metal outstrips the supply. Investors and industries stop trusting the paper promises. They stand for delivery. They say, "I do not want the contract. I want the bar." Suddenly, the vaults drain. The ratio of paper claims to real ounces becomes critical. The premiums on physical metal explode, decoupling from the fake spot price. Stage 4 is the break. This is the moment the music stops. The exchange declares force majeure. They tell contract holders, "We are sorry. We have no silver to give you. Here is cash instead." But by then, the cash is worthless and the metal is priceless. The market bifurcates. The paper price goes to zero, and the physical price goes to the moon. We have seen this pattern before. It happened to the Roman denarius. It happened to the French assignat, and it is happening to the US dollar right now. Before we look at the COMEX data, we need to study the only time in modern history this pattern nearly completed. We need to talk about the Hunt brothers. Nelson Bunker Hunt and William Herbert Hunt were Texas oil billionaires. They were not speculators. They were accumulators. In the late 1970s, they looked at the inflation rate, which was hitting 13%. They looked at the US dollar, which had just been severed from gold by President Nixon. They realized that paper money was a trap. So, they started buying silver. But they did something that terrified Wall Street. They did not just buy the futures contracts. They took delivery. They bought physical bullion. They loaded it onto airplanes and flew it to Switzerland. They put it in guarded vaults in Texas. They took the metal out of the system. By January 1980, the Hunt brothers controlled nearly 200 million ounces of silver. The price moved from $6 an ounce to nearly $50 an ounce. That is a 700% gain in 12 months. Wall Street was facing a total collapse. If the Hunt brothers continued to demand physical delivery, the COMEX would have defaulted. The banks would have been exposed as frauds. They did not have the metal they had sold. So, what did the establishment do? Did they let the free market work? No. They changed the rules. On January 7, 1980, the exchange implemented Silver Rule 7. It stated that investors could no longer open new buy positions. They could only sell. Imagine playing a game of poker where the casino tells you that you are no longer allowed to win, only twofold. Then, they raised margin requirements. They forced the Hunt brothers to come up with hundreds of millions of dollars in cash overnight to hold their positions. The Hunts were squeezed. They were forced to sell. The price crashed from $50 down to $10. The brothers went bankrupt. But there is a secret lesson in this story that most people miss. The people who lost money were the ones playing with leverage and paper contracts. The people who bought physical silver at $6 and held it in their own possession did not go bankrupt. Even after the crash, silver settled at $10. That is still a 66% increase. The lesson is this: you cannot beat the banks at their own game of paper poker. They control the rules. They can change the margin requirements. They can halt trading, but they cannot change the laws of physics. If you hold the metal, you win. If you hold the paper, you are at their mercy. The situation today is far more dangerous than it was in 1980. The Hunt brothers were just two men. Today, the demand is not coming from two cowboys in Texas. It is coming from the entire global industrial complex. This is the factor that changes everything. Silver is not just money. It is the most conductive metal on the periodic table. You cannot build the modern world without it. Your smartphone contains silver. Every electric vehicle contains nearly 2 ounces of silver, which is double the amount in a gas car. The 5G towers being built on every street corner require massive amounts of silver. But the real monster is the solar industry. In 2023, the solar panel industry consumed 193 million ounces of silver. That number is projected to rise by 20% year over year. A study by the University of New South Wales predicts that by the year 2050, the solar industry alone will require more than 85% of the world's current silver reserves. We are also seeing the rise of artificial intelligence. AI requires massive data centers. These data centers require high-performance chips and connectors, all of which use silver. We are entering an age of electrification, and silver is the blood in the veins of that system. Now, look at the supply. Global silver mining production has been flat or declining since 2016. We are mining less, but we are using more. In 2024, the silver market recorded a deficit of 149 million ounces. This is the 4th consecutive year of a massive structural deficit. You cannot print more silver. It takes 10 years to find a new mine, get the permits, build the infrastructure, and start extracting metal. We do not have 10 years. The vaults are empty now. We are running a deficit that is being filled by draining the above-ground stockpiles. But those stockpiles are finite. When they are gone, there is no buffer. The price mechanism will have to break. Industrial users like Apple, Tesla, and Samsung will not care if silver is $50 or $500. They need the metal to sell their products. They will pay any price, further driving the squeeze. While industry drains the supply from one side, the geopolitical landscape is draining it from the other. We are witnessing a slow-motion bank run by sovereign nations. For decades, the West controlled the price of gold and silver through the London and New York exchanges. But the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are building a new system. They are accumulating physical metal and removing it from Western vaults. In 2024, India imported a record amount of silver. We are talking about thousands of tons. Why? Because the Indian population understands what happens when currency fails. They view gold and silver as generational wealth, not as a trade. China is doing the same. The Chinese government has effectively restricted the export of silver. This is a strategic move. They know that silver is a strategic military asset. You need silver for guidance systems in missiles. You need it for satellites. In a world of rising geopolitical tension, sending your strategic silver reserves to the West is an act of suicide. This is why we are seeing the inventory crisis at the COMEX. Let us look at the data. The COMEX warehouses divide silver into two categories: eligible and registered. Eligible just means it is sitting there. Registered means it is available to be delivered to fulfill a contract. In 2021, there were 150 million ounces in the registered category. Today, that number has plummeted to barely 40 million ounces. Think about that. There are hundreds of billions of dollars in paper trades happening every day, all leveraged against a pile of silver that is worth less than $1.5 billion. It is a pyramid standing on its tip. If just one major entity, a hedge fund, a tech company, or a sovereign wealth fund decided to stand for delivery on 50 million ounces, the registered inventory would go to zero overnight. The COMEX would default. The game would be over. So, what happens next? We will see the exchanges change the rules again. We are already seeing cooling failures and technical glitches halting trading during price spikes. These are not accidents. These are circuit breakers designed to stop the panic. As the squeeze tightens, you will see premiums explode. The spot price on your screen might say $35, but if you call a dealer, they will ask for $60. Eventually, the dealers will simply stop answering the phone. We saw this with the South Korean banks. It happens slowly, and then it happens all at once. This is why you must act before Stage 4 completes. Once the separation between paper and physical becomes permanent, you will be locked out. Here is your battle plan. Number 1. Do not speculate with paper. If you own an ETF like SLV, you do not own silver. You own a claim against a counterparty that has the legal right to settle your claim in cash. When the crisis hits, you will get a check for the paper value while the real metal becomes unobtainable. Number 2. Get it in your possession. If you cannot hold it, you do not own it. Focus on sovereign coins like American Eagles, Canadian Maples, or British Britannias. These are recognized worldwide. In a currency collapse, liquidity is king. You want something that anyone will recognize as valid money. Number 3. Avoid numismatics. Do not let a salesman talk you into buying a rare coin for 3 times the price of the metal. You are buying insurance, not a painting. You want the maximum number of ounces for your depreciating dollars. Number 4. Secure your storage. If you have a significant amount, do not tell your neighbors. Do not post about it on social media. Buy a high-quality floor safe. If you use a vaulting service, ensure it is outside the banking system and that the metal is allocated in your name specifically. The financial system is built on confidence. It is a psychological construct. It works only as long as people believe that the paper in their pocket has value. But silver is not a construct. It is an element. It was created in the heart of a dying star billions of years ago. It cannot be debased by a central banker. It cannot be hacked. It cannot be erased. The banks in Korea stopping sales is your canary in the coal mine. The massive drain on the COMEX is your siren. The backwardation in the price is the fire alarm ringing in the hallway. You have a choice. You can stay in the burning building, hoping the central banks can print enough water to put out the fire. Or you can exit the system and secure your wealth in the only asset that has survived every empire in history. The window is closing. The price is irrelevant. The availability is everything. If you found value in this analysis, please subscribe to the channel. We are tracking this collapse in real time, and in our next report, we are going to expose the debt spiral that is forcing the Federal Reserve to choose between hyperinflation and a depression. You do not want to miss that. Secure your position, get your medal, and I will see you in the next video.